Kempfer now, retired Marine intelligence officer. It's good to see you. Thanks for joining us on this tonight.
Thank you, Natasha.
Israel's prime minister vowing to increase pressure on Hamas. Is that what we are seeing? What does that look like in the wake of these deadly airstrikes?
Well, Israel's continuing with its operations. Obviously, these airstrikes are, if you will, shaping the battlefield to come. Israel has said that they're going to go into Rafah. They've never changed their position on that. They have kind of signaled a difference in timing. Of course, they've never launched they have not launched yet a full-scale operation against Rafah, but these are shaping operations. As targets appear, they hit them. And of course, the nature of urban combat, particularly with so many civilians that are in that area, is that whenever they do these strikes, there's a lot of collateral damage, as they say, which is another way of saying that civilians are killed. It's just the horrors of urban warfare. But there are a lot of reports coming out that there's a significant evacuation plan that's going to be implemented to get as many civilians out of Rafah or out of the Rafah area prior to any major offensive operation.
Let me ask you, with this area still being so densely populated, with the evacuation plan not having taken place yet, should Israel be proceeding with these sorts of strikes when it seems like they're not able to be precise enough to not impact, the more than 24 children who've been killed in just 2 days?
Well, they may have impacted, and of course, one thing I would say is we're not entirely sure what the actual numbers are or what the actual composition of the casualties are. Those are numbers that are put out by the Ministry of Health, which is a division or a component of Hamas. There's always been questions about the accuracy. Whenever there's a strike, it's always said to be a disproportionate number of children, disproportionate number of women, and usually later on, we find out that it was probably not quite the way they portrayed it. So, but with that said, these strikes, they go through an entire process. The U.S. Helped train them in this legal review process before they do a strike. And there must be some sort of compelling reason why they have to do it at that time, at that place. And so, in general, it'd be great if they could avoid it. But in reality, the nature of warfare, they have to do these things, and it could be hitting it now is going to save more civilians later, depending on what the math is or whatever they're looking at.
We know Passover begins tomorrow. Can we expect any changes in Israel's strategy during this time?
No, I was kind of wondering that myself, and I don't think there will be any change in the operational tempo by the IDF. I think they're going to keep moving forward. I'm sure that the IDF units will be observing Passover in some way, shape, or form. I've been in war where major holidays like Christmas and other things occur, and we just basically keep observing. We observe the holiday, but we keep on doing the mission, and I'm sure that's what's going to happen in the Gaza Strip as well.
We know the White House is considering leveling sanctions on one unit of the IDF. Could that complicate relations between the U.S. and Israel, or what are you tracking there?
Well, in short, I would say it's already starting to complicate relations between the U.S. and Israel, based on what Prime Minister Netanyahu was saying today, that he will fight any sanctions against the unit. It's unusual. It's not completely unprecedented, but it's very unusual for a unit, particularly of an allied nation, for one of their military units to be sanctioned as a unit by the United States government. That's something usually, if we do something like that, it's usually after the fact. And I'm trying to think of instances where we were in a war or something like that, where there are particularly egregious units of an opposing force or something like that, where we put sanctions on them. In this case, it would be unusual, but it may be something that's part of a larger diplomatic dialogue, and as part of putting pressure on Israel to observe more humanitarian considerations in all their planning and all their operations. So I'm kind of wondering what the desired end state is of even bringing that issue up. And I'll wait to be, we're all going to wait to see if we actually do put those sanctions on that particular unit.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.